Today on the Roxom Report London, Bitcoin is strengthening above $100,000. The Czech government survives a Bitcoin scandal. Iran's largest digital currency exchange is hacked. All that, plus we're talking with Dr. Cristina Llamas from Women of Bitcoin, who's live from Bitcoin Prague, and much more today on the Roxom Report. Hello and welcome to the Roxom Report, where we bring you the latest stories from the world of finance, tech and digital assets. We're starting today's show by heading to Prague, where one of the biggest Bitcoin-only events in the world is happening right now. It's called Bitcoin Prague 2025 and it runs from today, June 19th, through the 21st. Thousands of Bitcoin fans, tech experts, investors and thought leaders have gathered in the Czech capital for this major event, with more than 200 speakers across 4 stages. Excuse me. It's known as Europe's biggest and most focused Bitcoin conference. Some of the top names in the space are speaking, including Michael Saylor and Adam Back. But the event isn't just about price predictions or mining. The talks cover everything from personal freedom and digital privacy to how Bitcoin could shape culture and society. There are also keynotes, debates, workshops, and real-time translation powered by AI, so ideas can be shared across languages and borders. And the message this year is clear. Bitcoin isn't just an investment, it's a global movement. Joining us now live from the event is Dr. Cristina Llamas, a leading voice in the Bitcoin space. Cristina is a researcher, educator, and strong advocate for Bitcoin adoption. She also has a background in aerospace law and tech leadership. She's been following how Bitcoin is growing across Europe and brings a unique view on where the space is heading. Cristina, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Okay. Hi, Ioni.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
So you have just finished a Women of Bitcoin event. Would love for you just to quickly share a little bit about Women of Bitcoin and sort of tell us how your event this morning went, please.
Sure. We just finished the event here. Started this morning. We're kicking off BTC Prague with our event. And so let me tell you a bit about Women of Bitcoin. It's a grassroots movement. And we have chapters all over the world, local chapters. And our main aim is to create community and educate women in the Bitcoin space. And at the moment, we are focusing with my co-founder, Claire, who is also here. She will join in a minute. We are focusing in the UK, but there are groups all over Europe, Latin America, and the US. We are like Bitcoin, but decentralized.
Yeah, I like it. Perfect. I mean, there definitely is a need for it. Bitcoin is predominantly very male heavy, and I think that was one of the reasons that you started the group. And thank you for inviting me to join. It's good to be sort of part of a community of women educating each other together. But tell us a bit more about how it began.
You're welcome. I'm sure you will enjoy it. As you say, we don't have exact statistics, but, really from experience, our guess is 80 to 90% is male presence. And, though we are not particularly pushing a women's agenda, when you are in the Bitcoin space, you realize there is a need. And that's kind of what came across. I started with my co-founder, Claire, last year, just over a year ago. And it became very obvious that there was a need for getting together as women, providing a safe space and, for women, and also to bring our voice. There is a different energy, a different voice to women. And we thought there was a need for it. It's a different tone of voice. There's always a need for diversity and the feel to be included. So that's what we have in mind when we started Bitcoin.
Brilliant. I didn't realize it was so recent, but you've built quite an amazing community in a really short amount of time, which shows that there was definitely a need for it. So congratulations.
Something to mention as well. We actually didn't start the movement It actually started with side events in conferences. If don't quote me on this, but my understanding is that the first women of Bitcoin event as such, as a side event, was in Miami in one of the first Bitcoin conferences. And I believe it was organized by Natalie Brunel. And so it started like that as side events to conferences. It was only last year in the Madeira conference that we thought there was a need for something more permanent, for permanent meetups. And there is, I must also mention that even before us in Germany, there was a group called Les Femmes Orange, bigger than us in the UK. And that's going very strong as well. So we are mirroring Les Femmes Orange in a way, but that kind of gives you an idea of where we are and how we got here.
Thank you for that overview. That's helpful. So now you have just finished a Women of Bitcoin event. Is this, you're at the Prague conference right now. Can you tell us a bit about what you spoke about, the purpose of the event and how it went today?
Yes. So the topics, for each of the events are really varied. And when we do meetups, we might have more, it might be for a couple of hours, so it can be quite specific. It can be almost like a workshop or simply just getting together. Today was a little bit different in that it was quite a lot bigger than the usual meetups. This was more of an international meetup beyond the UK. We had nearly 80 women here, and the main purpose it was mainly two. One was networking, just getting together. We like, as I said, it's a grassroots movement. So we like to get together in person. That's very important to us. We all have enough of online, so getting together in person is important. And then we selected topics based on, for the panel. We had a panel for about an hour. The topics are based on, what the panelists suggest, what we think is hot at the moment, or what is helpful and useful. So today we did have a number of topics. One topic that was very much of interest for women, it was regarding privacy and safety. I think it's a hot topic at the moment, and we are just not talking about safety around losing your Bitcoins, but physical safety. We are hearing more around, threats, kidnapping, and things like that. So that was...
It's interesting because we've actually covered a couple of those stories, and I wonder, did you kind of were there any advice that was given? Because after covering some of the stories, France, there's been a lot of kidnappings. Were there any takeaways from that discussion of tips that were helpful?
We had obviously, the thought, thinking about it, but we were very lucky today. One of our panelists was Alina. She is the co-founder of Satoshi Labs and Treasure. She is an authority on the safety and privacy. Not only she introduced the subject really well, but she gave us very practical tips, kind of to-do list. It was very helpful.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned that your co-founder, Claire, is she nearby?
She's right here next to me. I'm just going to put you on camera.
Oh,
this is Claire.
I can't hear.
Hi. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to share.
We're going to have to share.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Claire. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
You too. Yeah. I'm Ione, by the way.
Hello.
I've heard good things about you from Cristina. So yeah, would you mind just sharing a little bit about your background and how you came into the Bitcoin space?
Yes. My husband is a Bitcoin podcaster. He podcasts about only Bitcoin. His podcast is Once Bitten. But
I like it.
My family have been nomadic for quite a while. So we sort of decentralized ourselves. We're now back in the UK, and after meeting Cristina, we realized that there was a need for for women of Bitcoin in the UK. We needed to get women out there and coming along to these events and feeling safe in this environment.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It does make me feel a little bit more welcome. So yeah, thank you. Would love to have you on the show at some point if you in person when you're back from Bitcoin Prague, if you ever feel up for it. Yes. Because yeah, so many fascinating things that you're both working on. I'm going to jump back to Cristina just to get a little bit of more of an overview. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
To get a bit.
Thank you. Hello.
Yes, just wanted to find out, because you had mentioned a group that you'll be joining later today, I think, that's kind of an invite-only event. Is that right?
So, yes, I only found out about it recently. It's, as far as I know, it wasn't advertised, but it's happening as a kind of high-end side event to BTC Prague, and it's mainly directed towards investors and entrepreneurs. It's called Bitcoin Corporate Day. I believe the website is corporateday.com, and it's all about Bitcoin, but from the point of view around investment and entrepreneurship, specifically directed to that. I think it's about 120 spots, and yes, by invitation only. So it will be very interesting to hear them. It's really the leading voices in Bitcoin. The speakers are Michael Saylor, Jack Mollers, Adam Back, really, the top guns in the industry, and who is who. And we will be very lucky to have access on the day to them. It's happening actually tomorrow. Today we are going to, this afternoon we are going to make the preparations. It's actually happening tomorrow, all day tomorrow.
And is it sort of like a stage, they'll be speaking on a stage, or is it more of a workshop environment where you get to, go up and speak to them and work with them? Do you know yet?
I don't know yet. I will find out this afternoon. As far as I could see from the agenda, there is time for formal presentations, and there is also time for, I believe the main aim is networking and kind of workshopping, so there will be fireside chats and more participation.
That sounds fantastic. We're going to have like a whole hour show just talking to you about how that session went.
Hello. I have here Susie from Bitcoin Policy UK. She can't hear you. Let me just.
Do the share. Hello. Hello, Susie. How's it going? You having a good time?
It's brilliant. Cristina has just put on the most amazing event. Honestly, it's been amazing, and the panel was they were so good. We were talking about, have you been through this?
Yes.
Privacy. Okay, I won't bore you with the details and
topics.
No, but I do want to speak to you next week and get sort of some of those tips that they were giving. It sounds like a really practical, helpful, insightful panel and discussion. So yeah, definitely want to deep dive with you next week.
Definitely, let's have that discussion.
Perfect. What are you both looking forward to coming up? Did you get into the conference tomorrow? I know that you were thinking about. That was you, Susie.
Which one? The mining one? My mining panel's on Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Friday that you may or may not get into the.
No, that was the.
We're trying.
We're still trying. Yeah, but.
Okay. I'll keep everything crossed.
And I have got it diarised to let you know either way, so I haven't forgotten.
Perfect. But yeah, what are you both looking forward to, sort of in this interim? Is there anything that you're?
I haven't. Absolutely everything. I mean, the conversations here are incredible, really, aren't they? I mean, and we talk about things that don't often get talked about or never get talked about in the mainstream media. One of the I'm so sorry, I've just hijacked your conversation, Cristina. I'm so sorry.
No,
one of the things.
I love it. Both of you can talk as much as you like.
Is KYC, know your customer. We're talking about privacy and how they collect so much data on us that they don't need to, in the name of stopping illicit activities, which it does not. And so they've got all these centralized honeypot for hackers with all of our private information, recording absolutely everything that we're doing, but they don't give us the protection that we need to stay safe online. So we were talking quite heavily about KYC, and I think that's know your customer. That's a conversation we should definitely have. because people need to be more aware of
Absolutely.
how that can actually come into the real world and cause physical harm. Because if people can
Absolutely.
find your data online, they know your address, they know what you've bought, at some point, like, you know, people might end up having all of their financial data leaked, and then they know where you live.
Mm-hmm. No, I know that you feel passionately about it. I mean, it comes up in pretty much every time we speak because it is such a major problem. No, I mean, you're just it's right to be, you're right to be concerned about it. But yeah, I would love to get into the weeds more about what the panelists proposed or solutions to some of these issues. I mean, I guess it's Bitcoin, but it'd be great to talk some more.
I'll pass you back to Christina. It was nice to see you. See you later.
Great. You too. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm so sorry. No, it's apologize. We are very inclusive here.
Of course, I love it.
We could talk about, you know, we could fill an entire day for your show with just the conversations we had today.
Oh, yeah, I mean, please, let's do that next week. I would love to really deep dive. I just wanted to get your thoughts, because I take it you go to quite a few of these conferences. What is it that you enjoy about them? What do you kind of have like is it a thing that you do? Is it mainly networking? You know, tell me about when you come to one of these events, how you prepare for it, what you do and stuff.
It's a few things. First of all, is the getting with people in person. That makes a huge difference, you know. I know we all live online and it's very much necessary. But to give you an analogy, I would say coming to the conferences is like, say, eating real food as opposed to looking at a picture of synthetic food. I know, you know, you look at a burger online and the pictures look beautiful and it's perfectly staged and it looks yummy, but it's not the same as the real thing. So conferences are the real thing. That is one thing. It is a very different experience. It's very rich. The conversations.
To your point.
Yeah.
I would just say that as humans, we're driven by connection and connecting with each other. And so to your point, yeah, you're kind of giving humans what drives them, connection around something that everybody's passionate about. So of course, that's going to be more electric and exciting and fun in person rather than, you know, typing in a chat or something.
Absolutely. Overall, the experience is very different. And I would say just much richer. The possibilities for conversation, for coming together, for developing, for creating. You know, this is how I met Claire, my co-founder. I would have never come up with this idea on my own, thinking about it through, you know, a Zoom call. So nothing wrong with technology. It's a wonderful tool, absolutely necessary and very useful. But there is a place for conferences. So I would say that's for me number one. Education. Yes, there is a lot of content online. You don't need to come to a conference to educate yourself, but there is a possibility to do that. And, you know, the deeper conversations help with education. So that's second one. And I would say the third one, last but not least, is just fun. It's just fun, you know. Almost is what we try to do in Women Not Bitcoin, which is community, education, and fun. That's our third, you know.
It's a good trifecta.
That's our trifecta, and it definitely works with the conferences.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any other last words or thoughts that you'd like to share?
Really just, you know, if you're a woman and you are in the Bitcoin space, join us. You know, look for your local chapter. We are in the UK. Claire and I are in the UK. You can find us. We have our main channel on Telegram, and it's Women of Bitcoin UK altogether. And join a community. If you are a man and want to join, there are also meetups all over the world to join. I'm sure they can find one. But you know they say there is safety in numbers, but there is also power in numbers. So. Having community is a great thing.
Agreed, 100%. You had you wanted to give a shout out to one of your fellow members who wasn't able to make it to the conference.
Yes, I wanted to give a shout to Dr. Jessica Rose. She's from Israel and she's stuck there because they close the airspace. She couldn't join us today. She was one of our panelists. And we said to her that I would give her a mention because at least she can watch your channel today and, you know, make her feel slightly better because the situation in Israel obviously is very difficult for her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, I look forward to having you in the studio when you're back. Enjoy the rest of the conference and the fun and the learning and meeting people and connecting. And yeah, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much. And wonderful, wonderful concept, RoxomTV. Very, very nice. And very nice talking to you.
Thank you. You too. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with our news show.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Okay.
Welcome back to the show. Our top of the block story today is Bitcoin is holding the line. And it's not just any line. According to multiple analysts, $100,000 has become the strongest support levels Bitcoin's ever had. That's a big deal because just a few months ago, $100,000 was the Everest. Now it's the base camp. Tim Enneking from Scion put it this way: $100,000 has flipped from major resistance to even stronger support. And that shift, it's more than just technical. It's psychological. It's my dyslexia there. It tells us traders are no longer asking, can Bitcoin hold 100K? They're asking, how soon until it breaks out above 110K? And that's the new battleground. Analysts like Joe DiPasquale at Bitbull Capital are eyeing 112,000 as the next major resistance. Not just because it's the previous all-time high, but because it's a Fibonacci extension level. And let's be honest, a nice round number. If Bitcoin punches through that, we could see a sprint to 120,000. But, and here's where it gets fascinating, we're in what traders call a consolidation zone. That sideways churn between roughly 102,000 and 111,000. It's often the calm before the storm. Volatility builds up here, and according to crypto analyst and TikTok influencer Wendy O, that breakout could go either way, especially in a market as twitchy as this one. We've already seen how quickly sentiment can shift. A reported falling out between Trump and Elon Musk triggered a mini black swan moment, briefly breaking support. That's how sensitive things are. And remember, we've still got big macro factors in play. Fed rate decisions, geopolitical tensions, and economic uncertainty. Any one of those could yank Bitcoin out of its current range up or down. But here's the headline. Bitcoin holding above 100,000 isn't just impressive, it might be the new normal. And if that holds, the next leg up could be faster, sharper, and louder than anything we've seen yet. We'll be right back with the Market Watch.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's take a look at how the markets in Europe are moving right now. Okay, in the last 24 hours, the main European markets have all declined modestly amid geopolitical tensions and cautious investor sentiment. We've got the CAC 40 down 0.83%, Germany's DAX performance index down almost just over 0.5%, Euro stocks down on 0.75%, there we go. And in the UK, the FTSE 100 index down 0.33%. So steady downclines across the board in Europe. Overall, European equities are retreating as risk sentiment is dampened by the geopolitical uncertainty, as I mentioned, and inflation concerns globally. This reflects a cautious trading environment with broad-based weakness in equities, except for energy-related stocks, benefiting from the higher oil prices we're seeing currently. Now moving on to the US. US stock markets are closed today for the Juneteenth holiday, but futures trading showed declines. S&P 500s and Dow futures fell, as did the NASDAQ 100 futures. Earlier, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.7%, S&P 500 declined 0.5%, and NASDAQ dropped 0.91%, pressured by geopolitical tensions again and rising oil prices. Brent crude surged over 5%. Investor concerns also stem from stalled US fiscal outlook and trade negotiations, with mixed earnings reports from companies like Lowe's and Target. Market participants await further guidance from the Federal Reserve on interest rate policy. Now, moving on to what has been going on in the Bitcoin world. Bitcoin is currently trading at 104,884. That's just down slightly in the last 24 hours, showing resilience despite geopolitical instability and a cautious crypto market sentiment. Bitcoin has formed a symmetrical triangle pattern on charts, indicating a potential breakout, but direction remains unclear. Key support is at 103,600. With a critical psychological level at 100,000. Resistance lies near 106,000 and 108,000. Trading volume is down nearly 9% to about $48.4 billion, suggesting limited momentum for a strong move unless new catalysts emerge. Analysts note that a break below 100,000 is less likely currently, with liquidity building above 106,000, which is crucial for bullish continuation. So this overview reflects a cautious market environment globally, influenced by geopolitical tensions and central bank policies, while Bitcoin remains in a consolidation phase near 105,000. Okie dokes. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with the Global Gist.
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Welcome back to the Global Gist, our segment where we take you on a rapid-fire tour of the biggest stories in global finance and tech. Now to our first story. This week, Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala narrowly survived a no-confidence vote after a scandal that sounds like it was ripped from a political thriller. His justice minister resigned after accepting a €40 million Bitcoin donation from a convicted drug dealer. Yes, you heard that right. The donor, now this is where I'm going to struggle with some Czech names, Tomáš Jirovský, a man once jailed for embezzlement, drug trafficking, and running a darknet market. And somehow he managed to donate an eye-watering sum of crypto to the Justice Ministry. The minister who accepted it, Pavel Blazek, said the donation was ultra-legal and described it as a kind of penance. Unsurprisingly, that didn't go down well. Blazek has now resigned, but not before earning the nickname Don Pablo, a nod to Pablo Escobar, thanks to his ties to multiple scandals and a pro-Russian lobbyist. So why does this matter beyond the Czech Republic? Because it shows just how fragile Western democracies can be when confronted with opaque money flows, rising populism, and public distrust. With elections just 4 months away, Fiala's coalition is struggling. Polls show that the populist opposition, led by former Prime Minister Andrej Babiš, is pulling ahead. He's already calling the ruling party a criminal organization and branding Fiala the head of the mafia. Despite all this, the government scraped through. 98 MPs voted to keep it intact, just 4 more than those who wanted it gone. But the bigger question now isn't about parliamentary math, it's about trust. Eva de Croix, the new Justice Minister, says her job is to restore it. That won't be easy, not with a €40 million scandal, tainted Bitcoin hanging over the ministry, and not with an opposition gearing up to ride that wave straight into power. This isn't just about Bitcoin, it's about credibility and who gets to define it just months before an election. Oof, I'm going to cut to our producer Anton in the cloud there to have a little conversation about that. What do you think about the Justice Minister's comment that it was ultra legal and it was penance?
Yeah, I guess it's good words to use when you're in trouble and you're scrambling.
Yeah, I thought it was quite creative.
Yeah, it's not great. With everything happening in the U.S. right now, excuse me, with Trump's various coins and schemes and all that kind of stuff, this €40 million I don't know what to call it.
Donation is their word.
Okay, quote unquote donation seems kind of tepid compared to the very loud other corruption that's happening.
Yeah.
It seems like they squeaked by with this. I mean, the person who actually received the donation
has resigned.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a step above the U.S. where they're actually taking this seriously and having a vote instead of just letting things like this
slide.
Yeah.
Well, the number is pretty enormous. I wonder if it was to grant this person, the donee, favor in some way, if he was already in jail, if this was sort of a bribe to get out of jail. But it does remind me of a lot of the pardons that Trump's doing right now. There was talks about somebody who was behind bars whose mother attended a $1 million dinner with Trump, and then the following month her son was pardoned, who was in jail for fraud against the government. So it's
I'm sure that's a coincidence.
No, it must be a coincidence. Yeah. But we're seeing more and more of these. But yeah, you're right, at least the Czech government are holding some kind of vote of no confidence about it, which is definitely the right way to go. Okay, let's move on to our next story, shall we? I'm going to go to left camp. So now on Wednesday, hackers stole roughly 90 million from Novitex, Iran's largest crypto exchange. And it wasn't your average global heist. A group calling itself Predatory Sparrow, believed to have ties to Israel, claimed responsibility. Not just for stealing the crypto, but potentially burning it, as in sending it to wallets they can't access, effectively tossing it into a digital black hole. Why? Well, the hackers say Novitex was being used by Iran to evade international sanctions, and they wanted to cut that pipeline off. But that wasn't all. In the 48 hours surrounding the Novitex hack, Predatory Sparrow also claimed to have wiped data at Iran's state-owned bank, Sefer, allegedly used by the IRGC, and even hacked into state TV to broadcast anti-government messages calling for a public uprising. This isn't just sabotage, it's psychological warfare, layered into a years-long digital shadow war between Iran and Israel. We're talking steel mills, gas stations, banks, critical infrastructure, all increasingly under fire, and not just with missiles, but with lines of code. For everyday Iranians, the consequences are tangible. ATMs reportedly ran out of cash. Gas stations stalled. And while the hackers insist their target was the Revolutionary Guard, cybersecurity experts warn regular Iranians who've turned to crypto during sanctions and war are now in the blast radius. Predatory Sparrow says they're anti-regime Iranians, but analysts widely believe they're operating with Israeli backing, or at least alignment. Meanwhile, Tehran is accusing WhatsApp of spying. Israel's facing spoofed bomb shelter warnings, and underneath it all, crypto, once seen as neutral ground, is now a battlefield. This isn't just a hack, it's a warning shot in a digital war where the lines between civilian, state, and shadow are getting harder to see and much easier to cross. Anton, our producer in the crowd, I'm going to cut to you for this. This is reminding me of the Netflix movie that came out a couple of Christmases ago, I think. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Or maybe it wasn't the Christmas. The one about just hacks in the UK, in the US.
Is this the one where they're all in that house, like in Long Island somewhere?
It is exactly that one.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This was the Mr. Robot guy made that movie.
Oh, that would make sense.
I don't. Okay, what reminded you of that? I don't remember the premise of that movie totally.
It was that the US was hacked on a wide scale. I think there's another Netflix TV show about it actually, or Prime show. Hackers infiltrating everything from banking to transport to electricity grids and supplies, and just how easy it is to kind of crush a nation when you can take over like this. And we're seeing it on this scale. I hope that, the US and the UK could protect themselves if something like that were to face an attack. But I'm not confident that they've got the systems in place.
It feels like that the most developed technological countries have infiltrated all over the world, and everybody has their finger on the trigger, and it's sort of like a nuclear showdown, but with infrastructure. It feels like we're already there. I have a feeling that everybody's already infiltrated everything. They just don't want to take that next step because that leaves them vulnerable, because everybody's got their finger in the other's pocket. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And maybe it's better just to kind of keep under the radar with it all too, so that if states are watching other states, they don't want them to know that they're in all their systems. What was the one with China in pretty much all of US telecoms had been spying?
Yeah, they had been in our entire telecom system for I don't think they even know how long, and I didn't really hear any news updates on that. I don't know. They said they knew when top level officials were making a call. They couldn't always listen in on it, but they knew when the call was being made and to who.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so we're already there. Okay, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with more Global Gist stories. See you soon.
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Global Gist. Coinbase just launched something new. It's called Coinbase Payments. It's a service that lets merchants accept USDC stablecoin payments. And the best part? They don't need to know anything about blockchain to use it. It's built on Coinbase's own Ethereum Layer 2 network called Base, and it's already live with Shopify. Now that's a big move. This is part of a bigger trend. Stablecoins are starting to power the back end of mainstream commerce. According to Coinbase, stablecoins processed around $30 trillion in transactions last year. That's 3 times more than the year before. So this is no longer a niche experiment. Here's what makes Coinbase Payments stand out. It's modular, works right in your browser, and doesn't require gas fees. It supports wallets like MetaMask, Phantom, and Coinbase Wallet, and customers can check out without dealing with blockchain headaches. For merchants, there's an API to handle things like refunds, authorizations, and even on-chain escrows, just like you'd expect from platforms like Stripe or PayPal. But under the hood, it's all powered by blockchain, and it's getting attention. Right after the announcement, Coinbase stock jumped 16%. Circle, the company behind USDC, rose 25% to a record high. So what's really going on here? Coinbase isn't just launching another tool, it's trying to make crypto invisible. No jargon, no private keys, no friction, just fast global payments that settle 24/7 and cost less. Now, how could this affect Bitcoin? Well, even though this launch is focused on USDC, not Bitcoin directly, it could still have a ripple effect. If crypto payments become easier and more trusted by big-name merchants, that boosts confidence in the entire ecosystem. And when confidence rises, Bitcoin often benefits. Also, when a major player like Coinbase drives real-world adoption, it reinforces the idea that crypto isn't just speculative, it's useful. That kind of narrative can support Bitcoin's long-term price and bring in new investors. So, while this news might not cause a sudden spike in Bitcoin's price today, it adds to the case that crypto, including Bitcoin, is becoming part of everyday financial infrastructure. The bottom line is this is one to watch. Quietly, Coinbase may have just stepped into Stripe's lane, with blockchain running under the bonnet, and that could lift the entire crypto tide, Bitcoin included. Okay. Next up, we are going to Buck the System, which is our segment where we look at disruption, innovation, and the fight against centralized control. This isn't just about Bitcoin, it is about the powerful stories that embody decentralization, transparency, and freedom, and fundamentally reshape how things are done. This is Buck the System. The Pacific island nation of Nauru has just passed a new law aimed at becoming a hub for cryptocurrency. Nauru is the world's smallest island nation, just 21 square kilometers, with a population of under 13,000 people. Now it's making a move to lead the digital asset space in Oceania. On Tuesday, the government announced the creation of a new regulatory body, the Command Ridge Virtual Asset Authority, or CRVAA. This authority will oversee a wide range of crypto activity, including exchanges, NTFs, lending, staking, yield farming, stablecoins, and cross-border payments. This is not a narrow approach, it's full-scope regulation of the digital asset sector. The legislation also makes a clear distinction. Under the new law, crypto is classified as a commodity, not a security. That decision separates Nauru's framework from more restrictive models seen in other countries. President David Adang says the goal is to diversify the country's economy and strengthen long-term financial stability. Nauru is considered one of the most vulnerable countries in the world, according to the United Nations Multidimensional Vulnerability Index. It faces serious risks from climate change and economic volatility. By building a regulated digital asset sector, the government hopes to create new financial inflows and invest those gains into the country's intergenerational trust fund, which supports future development. This move positions Nauru not only as a player in crypto policy, but also as a nation using digital finance as a tool for national resilience. As a side note, Nauru briefly made headlines last year in court filings when it was revealed that Sam Bankman-Fried's brother once explored the idea of buying the island to build a private bunker. That plan never came to life. Instead, Nauru is now taking a different path, building a legal framework to become a gateway for Web3 innovation. So, what does this mean for Bitcoin? While Nauru's economy is small, the decision adds momentum to a broader trend. Sovereign nations turning to crypto as part of long-term financial strategy. Moves like this can help normalize Bitcoin and other digital assets at the policy level, and that can boost confidence in the sector. If more countries follow Nauru's lead, the global narrative around Bitcoin could shift further from speculative asset to strategic financial infrastructure. In the long run, that kind of adoption could support Bitcoin's value and help bring new capital into the space. Okay, that brings us to the end of our show, the Roxom Report London. Now we're going to head over to our team in the US for an in-depth look at global events and consciousness. And next up, as we had yesterday, it's the Great Awakening with Nolan. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for more financial and Bitcoin news.
At the tone, please record your message.